My name is Ginny, also known as 2/3 Lotus, everywhere on the internet. This clip is part of my series, The Poets of Twitch, where I analyze my viewers' writing live on stream. Nothing has been edited out, so you're seeing this exactly as streamed with all of the imperfections and tangents that come with being live. If you want to catch me live or want more information, check out the description. Otherwise, enjoy some excellent writing. I'm going to jump into the Bukowski. Pinguino Man! Hello! How are you? Already submitting. Oh boy. Sounds like we're going to have a lot. AuthorBrianLou, you might want to get in before Pinguino Man submits here. Welcome. How are you? And also, high caliber. What kind of poetry do you write? What is your... Do you feel like you have a style or something in particular you enjoy? Deciding between social commentary, personal exploration, or basic thank you to my mom. I wrote a thank you to my mom poem pretty recently, and I haven't shown it to her. I might try to write it really nicely in calligraphy for Christmas, but we'll see. Which of those three would I like? Well, last night I was doing some personal exploration and somewhat social commentary in my poetry. Thank yous to moms are lovely. So, maybe I'll put it to chat. I think I can make polls. And I want to know if chat has a preference because I don't think I do. How do I make a poll? Make a poll. Add. Okay, hold on. I think it's kind of fun. I've not used this feature yet. We've got an hour and 45 minutes here. Okay, good to know. Poll management. Create a new poll. Question. What should Brian submit? 1. Commentary. 2. Self-reflection. Or 3. Thanks, Mom. No. If y'all want to spend channel points for additional votes, sure, be my guest. It will be 100 channel points, and this poll will last 2 minutes, so get your votes in. What should Brian submit? We got a vote for Thanks Mom already, and commentary. Okay. Neck and neck, even. Y'all better not have the votes end up even, because that would just be not possible. 2 votes for Thanks Mom. Anyway, considering that maybe you don't have that much time here, we might do yours first. And then we could do someone else's. I mean, there's a ton of responses today now. Or there will be, it seems. So maybe we can put a pin in Bukowski and do it later. And just jump into some of the poets of Twitch. And not Bukowski, who is dead. The poem we would have been reading is called Old Man Dead in a Room, like Bukowski. Read all 3? I don't have time to read all 3. I can... Oh, and high caliber you submitted. That's so exciting. We will probably do Brian's first, and then yours, as long as you have time after that. Bukowski rip. Yes. But high caliber... Usually they take about 45 minutes or up to an hour and a half, depending on the poem, depending on how much I yap. I'm in a good mood this morning, so that generally means they go long. If I'm tired, then I stare at the page and just cry, mostly. It looks like you're going to be submitting the Thank You to My Mom poem. Yep, okay. Brian, submit the one thanking your mom, and then we will we will look at that one. Or you can submit them all and I can get to the others another time. But yeah, so High Caliber, Pinguino Man, so much. It really means, it's so cool to see so many of you submitting. Over the course of the existence of my Google form, the submit form, I've had 41 responses, which is just baffling to me because, like, people want to send me things and want to tell me things and want to engage with my stream, and it's so cool. So it's really awesome, and I think the Poets of Twitch is up to like maybe 20 poems, 20 episodes on YouTube, if you will. So there's a whole bunch of VOD to go back through if you're new. For some reason, like the most recent one from, it might have been Pinguino Man. A House with People is like, compared to the other ones, kind of blowing up. Like it has like 40 views, which is way more than the other ones. I know that's nothing for YouTube, but it's getting traction. Hi, Nico. I saw that you submitted as well, and you submitted a video of Bukowski. I watched about half of it. We're going to be starting with Brian Lou's poem, Thanking His Mom. And I think you might be surprised how few people truly deep dive into poems. I am aware of how few people do this. The main reason I do this is because no one has ever done this for my poems. And it's sort of a lonely thing in that regard, that it is a very taxing provision. And no one has ever, even sitting in person across the table, read my stuff in the way that I read theirs. Yes, by hand by AuthorBrianLou. Or Lou. It's Lou. It's Lou. I know this. You said this last time. Okay. Get the iPad, because this is a chunky poem. And we will get right into it. Nico, how are you doing? Are you going to go to MF Monday tonight? I'm going to the open mic, and I'm going to read a brand new, written last night, certified banger about being trans. Also, I am going to drop the screen. Okay, so, Brian, the questions in question for being on the Poets of Twitch. Number 1. Are you comfortable with my criticism beyond just analysis and looking at what you're saying? Are you comfortable with chat having the opportunity to provide criticism, in which case I will post the screenshot in the Discord? And are you comfortable with this going up on YouTube at the end? I know I've asked this before, you've done this before, and say all the things. But I have to ask, I feel, for my own personal comfort and safety in a certain regard as an online person. So, are those all fine with you? There's a chance you'll be there but late, Nico. Okay, well, I'm not going to try to sign up late, like on a later slot, because I will probably want to go home and sleep. So, here is this. Let me look at chat. Chat is moving today, y'all. This is fun. You're from New York State. That's pretty cool. Capital, so like Albany. I think that's the capital. Check marks for all 3. High Caliber, you tend to write short stuff, sometimes about love or dreams or my friends. I write short stuff too, don't worry. I tend to be a short writing poet. Drowning Devil tends to write short poems unless I challenge him to write longer ones. It just depends. Nico's are longer, Pinguino Man's are longer. It just depends. Anyway, this is called By Hand by... Overall, I'm planning to stay home. Love MF Monday, but tonight is large dinner, yeah, then just stay home. Long poems are hard, yes, that's how I feel. But I did write a long poem last night, and that is what I'm reading at the open mic tonight. So I'm just going to go up and do one poem on stage. By hand by AuthorBrianLou. By hand. So we are going to do, as is customary, but for those who are new, we're just going to read it a few times first, because it is important to just enjoy the poem that you're analyzing. And if you can't just read it and appreciate it, then it's sort of a tragedy in itself. We shouldn't just be analyzing all the time. We have to enjoy, we have to critique, we definitely have to do all of those things. And it is going to be in the Teapot channel in the Discord if you all want the screenshot for yourselves so you can see other than what I am immediately showing on screen. Also, my camera's kind of high. Well, okay. So, back to here. I think everything is in order to begin. Let me look at chat. Hello, I'm also having the same challenge. That's funny. The amount of times I veer away from poetry into prose poetry and theatrical monologue. Haha, for real. My poems always turn into essays sometimes. For those not familiar with my work, I tend to type stream of consciousness poems, almost never edit, which is a banger and different from the style of a lot of us here, which is cool. Is that a shark plushie? Yes, this is the IKEA shark trans icon Blachaya, and her name is Maria. She's sort of a common co-streamer here on Twitch. She reads poems sometimes if you all are well behaved. So, by hand. It's all tangled. Every part of my mind tied up in knots that would take years to undo. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go so wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I've lost the pattern. Can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands? I got lost somewhere along the way and I don't know how to go back. Should I work with what I have or cut off the excess fabric, leave it behind with other scraps, or patch it back to make a whole quilt? I stare down at my work. Trying to get this straight. At the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles and knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair or if anyone will ever want to wear it. Sheesh. I tried so hard. I tried to understand, mimic, and implement your teachings, learn from you, believe what you believed me capable of was true. Believe what you believed me capable of was true. Hey, that's sick. That's sick. I stared at your work for years, wondering how you possibly got so good. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now the clothes don't fit me anymore, and I have to try to stitch more together myself. And I don't know how. I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else, caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me so that my mind would be straight and true, unhindered by mistakes and worries, free of snapping threads or a broken needle. I am not perfect. Would you have me believe that you are just as flawed? Everything I have ever seen in you was undamaged, every stitch exactly as it should be, and yet now, and only now, do you open the scrap drawer. Show me every piece you had ever done before until you got it right, giving me a glimpse at what it truly means to have something handmade, and then you hug me. Because you don't want a sun printed in a factory. You did it yourself, and no matter how flawed, it was made with love. By hand, by you, but not for you. You made me for me with tender loving care. And though I am tangled, I cherish every thread. You have made a part of me. Woo! Sheesh. Really, 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 really good. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Also try to do stream of consciousness, and then I'm like husband/editor, please. My poems are more just short thought dumps. That's okay too. Mine are like that sometimes. The questioning, bruh. I do the same things, and the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Oof. I dove head first into the metaphor with this one and never came up for air. And you did so good. Oh my gosh. So far I'm liking this. Of what was true. Yeah. That's what I stumbled over. I think it still works, actually. Believe what you believed me capable of was true. Does kind of work. Believe what you believe me capable of what was true. No, it's not a typo. It works. It's just a really cool, tricky little, like, word thing that you do that works really well. I can tell you, like, the lesson. Yeah, you heard it. I caught that one on the first read. Yeah, it feels like it's wrong, but the words work, and they work really well, and it's cool, and it sounds cool. So let me read it again. Try to do a little better pacing, because I don't know. But this is, I mean, like I'm a real sucker for a poem about a parent. I love my parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I thank them almost every stream. And all my poems say "fuck you" meter. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I tend to move away from it. So, but like my mom also knits, and she makes like a lot of the beanies you see me wear on stream. My mom made, so like this directly resonates with me. And when I was a kid, you know, she would make like stuffed animals, plushies, and that kind of thing. So feel free to share this with her. Yeah, she is in chat sometimes. So like, Mom, if you are lurking, you this one's really great. This one makes me think of you. But yeah, I definitely will try to remember to do so. I posted this song Mother's Day. Posted this on Mother's Day a couple years ago and tagged my mom. And I've written it 2 years prior to that. Okay. Is your mom the whole lotus? Everything. Poems or songs. Is my mom the whole lotus? I mean, I think maybe it's everyone outside of me that is the other third that completes my existence. My mom, the way that I'm the poet of Twitch and you're the poets of Twitch. Is your mom? Oh, she might be. She's not a whole lotus. Because then she'd be enlightened. I think that's kind of the point of being 2/3 of it. But she's probably more than me. and really, I'm not sure I'm 2/3. Like, the longer it goes on, the more I see incredible art and meet incredible people, I do feel like I end up being more like 1/3 of the lotus. Which maybe makes you all 2/3 of the lotus. What would you believe that I was given the prompt "It's all tangled"? Set a 10-minute timer and this came out? Dude, I don't know. It's a process that works for you, and it works really well. Sometimes I can do stuff like this. I'll read a poem that I wrote last night. Basically, on my prompt was bitch, and I wrote the whole thing down like straight, and just probably took like 20 minutes. I was writing by hand in cursive, so it takes longer. Don't at me. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40, I don't know, but I was not stopping, right? So let's read this again. I'm gonna be honest, the 2/3 lotus metaphor is lost on me. You'll understand someday, Drowning Devil. Honestly, if you gave me an hour to sit down and write a poem with no prompt, I'd have maybe 2 sentences that are terrible. Yeah, it's we all have our own process, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. Someday, Drowning Devil. The thing is that, to me, 2/3, the lotus and the fractional thing is a lot of different metaphors for me that mean a lot. And maybe someday I'll try to write something that puts it all together, but myself as this fractional part of a lotus, it's also on face value just like a joke, that you have half lotus and full lotus as ways to sit in yoga, all of that. You're distracting the process here. Everyone's chatting, and if anyone else has comments and stuff as we go, I mean, there's been great praise, but please do give AuthorBrianLou your feedback, because he has given permission. Let's read it one more time, and then I will run the self-care ad break, and then we'll come back, and I will say sappy things about mothers. But first, let's read it. It's all tangled. Every part of my mind, tied up in knots that would take years to undo. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I have lost the pattern. Can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands. I got lost somewhere on the way, and I don't know how to go back. Should I work with what I have, or cut off the excess fabric, leave it behind with the other scraps, or patch it back to make a whole quilt? I stare down at my work. Where was I got lost, y'all. I was too into it. At the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles, and knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair or if anyone will want to wear it. I tried so hard, tried to understand, mimic, and implement your teachings, learn from you. Believe what you believed me capable of was true. Voice crack. I stared at your work for years, wondering how you possibly got so good. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now the clothes don't fit me anymore, and I have to try to stitch more together myself, and I don't know how. I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else, caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me, so that my mind would be straight and true, unhindered by mistakes and worries, free of snapping threads or a broken needle. I am not perfect. Would you have me believe that you are just as flawed? Everything I've ever seen in you was undamaged, every stitch exactly as it should be, and yet now and only now do you open the scrap drawer, show me every piece you had ever done before until you got it right, giving me a glimpse of what it truly means to have something handmade. And then you hug me, because you don't want a son printed in a factory. You did it yourself, and no matter how flawed, it was made with love. By hand, by you, but not for you. You made me for me with tender, loving care, and though I am tangled, I cherish every thread you have made a part of me. Oh my gosh, that's such a banger. Such a banger. Yeah, so like here's the tech. If you wanna tug on my heartstrings, you write poems about parents or family in general. You write poems about being trans, or you write poems about flowers. Those are the ways. But I need to drink some water. I was definitely stumbling over my words and talking a lot, and just stand up, have myself a think. So everyone take a self-care ad break. Also means no one gets pre-rolls coming in, which is good. But stretch, get a warm drink, don't watch the ad. Yeah. The one you posted is about flowers. Crazy. I almost knocked over the saxophone and I spilled water on myself. That was scary. Why are you on? You make noise. Oh, good crack. Ow! Damn it. Nico, I remember. I might have actually done your challenge with a different poem, the one I'm reading tonight. Are you all back from the ad break? I don't know if I can write a poem about being trans. I could write one about being a silly sister. Watching friends go through the same process. That's fair, AuthorBrianLou. I don't expect you to write a poem about being trans, but you can write a poem about having a mom, which is just as good. If anyone here remembers the challenge on confessional poetry, having a hard time, yeah, it'd be like that. My poem has flowers in it, but it's more like a lady as a flower. Might be even better, despite writing confessional poems. Yeah, so the poem I wrote like today or last night is sort of a confessional poem that might land at under 3 minutes, although I also need to finish Train Track Confessional. Nico's challenge was write a confessional poem under 3 minutes or under 3 minutes 10 seconds. Just as a different format of poem. A confessional is like a first person sort of talking about your trauma from the middle of the 20th century. Kind of Bukowski-esque, but not quite Bukowski. There was no ad break, so I heard you say everything about falling over. Yeah, no, I smacked it when I was stretching. I hit the fan when I was stretching my hand with my knuckle, and I got a grievous wound right there. Yeah, I don't know, like the ad breaks don't run for everyone or something. It's whatever. and chat is working on screen. That's good. Except it also is set up wrong, where the color source is supposed to be forward like that. Yeah, you have a freaking slam poetry competition on Halloween, which is based. Nico, I got like hella inspired by the youth poetry competition at the writing festival or the book festival the other day. Pretty insane. Enjoy your lyric. So, this poem, on Lurk. It's funny. Yeah, I just wrote a few like actually kind of spoken pieces. Yeah, the book festival was awesome. Inspired multiple poems for me and lots of things, and inspired me to check out Kant's Critique of Pure Reason from the library. This is a festival in Las Vegas that was books and authors. So, first of all, author AuthorBrianLou, in submitting this, is there anything that you particularly want me to look at? I should ask that too. That's one of the big questions. Because, in all honesty, it is thematically quite straightforward. And it's a beautiful metaphor. Nope, open to anything. So helpful. So, what can I teach with this, perhaps? I don't know. I was too busy punching the fan to actually think during my break. Understand, mimic, implement your teachings, capable, mothers. Let me just go through. Sound play, less lesson. Yeah, sure. We can talk about spoken word. Like, we can actually talk about spoken poetry, because it's a big thing that people do a lot, is they speak their poems. You do it a lot. You might be more of an authority on spoken word than I am. You might be more of an authority on poetry than I am in general. I don't try to deny this. I've been writing poetry for a year. 14 months, actually. And I'm not the best spoken word poet. But it is a very cool thing. And oftentimes I find, as I listen to spoken word, that you get these very, like, awesome sound play moments, and it feels technical in a sense, where you have these rhymes, lesson, like that kind of, like you said, sound play. I've never heard that word used before, but I like that because it's like wordplay, but with sound. And all that stuff. And obviously you all heard me changing pacing, speeding up, slowing down. So maybe we can talk about some rationale for those sorts of things, and actually maybe use this as a lesson to sketch out how someone might speak a spoken word poem that they have, or turn a poem on the page into sort of a structured thing to perform. That seems interesting to me. We haven't done that. So, I've talked before on the channel about tension and release, where you build up, things get tense, and then they come back down in a satisfying manner of release. And that can... My client wants to take a quick walk. Yeah, that's fine. And we can use tension and release a lot of different ways in spoken word. One thing is particularly speed, right? Going fast generally is tension. Yeah, you can always look at it on YouTube. Speed, going fast and saying lots of things is going to get you engaged and have a lot of tension, but you're not quite going to hear all of it because I'm going very fast and it's technical and it sounds impressive, but when I slow down, there's impact. sometimes tension in the space and the pauses, but it's more of a release. So like I said there, we can use spaces in our poetry and like kind of dead air, if you will, as a point of tension and release. And as I am going slow, sometimes I will speak so quietly I have to lean into the mic. And sometimes I want to create grand impact and I will almost shout at you. That's volume. That's a tool that we have. And you can also talk very quiet but go fast and have a lot of that kind of technical things where you can bring it up louder, and that's a really hard thing to do because as you get louder it's hard to keep the words moving, right? So, volume. And it is something to consider that talking loud can be more difficult. Going fast can be more difficult. Leaving no space and having a lot of elision, things flowing into each other, can be more difficult. Technical. Not difficult, but technical, in that you need to have like the mouth skill to do it. And that is something you have to consider too. If you were to go through your poem and scope out, I want to talk really super fast here and make it technical to impress people, but that's not something you're capable of doing, then unfortunately that's maybe not something you should plan to do in your reading of the poem. Maybe you're a trans person and sometimes you want to talk and sound more feminine, and it is almost necessary to lower your volume for me to get to my most feminine voice. Talk softer. And I can definitely do that fast and move very quickly through those words, but I certainly can't bring up the volume because it sounds forced. So that is a tool you have to use. Depending on your poem and who you are, on that note, you can mess with pitch. Sometimes you can have multiple characters in your poem talking back and forth to each other. I do that in Miserere. Sometimes you want something to be higher pitched because it has a different effect. You definitely get more power when you say something down here versus higher pitch, which I can say powerfully. It might also just be that I'm not as good as at a high-pitched voice. But you see, pitch matters too. So that's something to consider. I did that in green. I already did green. We need a different color. Cyan. So pitch. And if anyone else has things to throw in, if you have any particular tools you can think of in spoken word, absolutely include it. You can use tone. You can speak sarcastically, or you can speak earnestly, or you can ask a line as a question. Right? Can I start again? Can you show me again? You can be unsure. Can I start again? Can you show me again? Or you can be forceful. Can I start again? Completely different feeling, and that's something that you have to consider. You don't have to consider. Sometimes those things come naturally, but that is another tool. Speed, space, volume, pitch, tone. And it's interesting, I think about a lot of these things from music because I was a musician, and these are the exact same things that we would talk about in our music. If we have a cadenza, a section of free, not very structured, like music where you can improvise and push and pull, speed-wise, add space where another musician might not, push the volume wherever you like, right? These are tools. I don't think about a lot of these consciously. Yeah, and a lot of musicians don't think about these consciously, or at least when they're practiced, because they become natural. However, I do think you just lump them into delivery. Yeah, but why lump them, you know? Why not break down what delivery means? And I can go up on stage as a musician and say, the way that I phrase my music, well, that's just my music. That's just my delivery. Or I can be very intentional and say, I want the top of this line to have impact. And if that's what I want, there are certain decisions I can make to give it impact, right? And I do maybe feel like, especially if you're new to spoken word, you're doing yourself a disservice to not consider these things. And maybe we should do this with my poem, because I wrote it last night and I'm going to be performing it tonight. That might be a we can finally analyze one of Ginny's own poems on stream thing. But through this lens, cute Nico. Nico, since you've unlurked, do you have any other things that you think are factors here? Speed, space, volume, pitch, and tone. I can't think of any others immediately, kind of in my musical wheelhouse. It's a performance. Let's focus on AuthorBrianLou for now. No, but I'm saying if you have thoughts on this, this is talking about AuthorBrianLou. Yeah, hands. So, your body. I'm saying later with my poem. Yeah, the physical stuff. So, hands and your eyes as well. Whenever a poet is buried in their in their work, it's less engaging to me. Seeing their eyes, seeing the way they look, all of that. Appearance, what you actually wear, even like your clothing, how you style your hair. I went to perform poetry at an open mic, which admittedly I didn't get let in because I was 21 plus. But I was wearing a full black suit, black tie, slacks, dress shoes. Looking like a man. And that was important for the tone of the poem. Since the poem was miserere, and I was describing it to people as a funeral, so I'm dressed for it. Right? And that is a choice that affects the way people view your poem. And, that's something you consider intentionally that can add impact, right? And these, in being intentional, can add impact that you might not have if you don't think about them. Same with all of these. So why not consider them intentionally? This is going into stage performance conventions. Yeah, and we're talking about spoken word and stage performance. So maybe we can do these one by one. What sections do we want to be fast, and what sections do we want to be slow? I think if anyone has ideas, what I say, what I feel, is not the only option. So it's all tangled. And it can also be useful to divide your poem into sort of sections, because that can let you figure out this section faster, this section slower. So, it's all tangled. Every part of my mind tied up in knots that would take years to undo. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I have lost the pattern. Can I start again? Can you show me again? Let's divide it into fairly short sections. So let's talk here. These are kind of arbitrary. Let's take this first section. It's all tangled. This is the first thing. Maybe I say by hand. And when I get up on stage, this poem is called By Hand. It's for my mom, whatever. But then this is the first thing they're going to hear. And we're just talking speed. It's all tangled. Interesting delivery. It's snappy. What's all tangled? It's all tangled. Every part of my mind tied up in knots. Of course, also, the faster you go, the less grounded people are in what they're hearing. They don't process it all. It takes time to process every word coming out of the poet's mouth. So maybe we go, it's all tangled. Then they're going to hear it for sure. Every part of my mind tied up in knots that would take years to undo. And I already added emphasis on years, which isn't part of speed. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I have lost the pattern. I personally feel, as we start to add these questions of uncertainty about the self, about what we're doing, this creates more tension, right? In the actual words. And, as we talked about, more speed tends to create more tension. So, welcome back, AuthorBrianLou. So perhaps we speed up into this section. More speed, more tension. That's an option. It's all tangled. Every part of my mind tied up in knots that would take years to undo. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I've lost the pattern. Do we want to slow down there? Because then we're asking questions again, right? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I've lost the pattern. Can I start again? Can you show me again? Or slow these down. Can I start again? Can you show me again? These feel almost like the questions of a student, a child, being like, can you show me again? Sorry. And I feel like they have a lot more impact. And in that case, I would want to slow them down. So in that case, we would speed up to there and slow down. If we're just trying to lean into the parts that feel like they have more tension with speed. And Brian, since you were gone, we talked through all of the things you can maybe use as tools in your spoken word poetry, right? And we're going to go through them and talk about how we might use each one. So I'm not so much critiquing your work. I'm using your work as a teaching tool, if that's okay. And first we're talking about speed. Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands. Very familiar with lots of these, though. A background in theater, and you bet I like tools. Yeah, I have a background in music, and these are the exact same things that we would talk about in music. So it makes sense. It's all performance. So, can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands. I got lost somewhere on the way and I don't know how to go back. This section here, it really feels almost like a lost child. You don't know where you are, you're confused. And I mean, that could definitely have two or multiple interpretations. You could be lost, you could be frantic, you've messed this thing up and now you're panicking. I got lost somewhere on the way and I don't know how to get back. Should I work with what I have or cut off the excess fabric, leave it behind with the other scraps, or patch it back into the whole quilt? Patch it back to make a whole quilt, right? Thoughts racing. You're worried. Or, can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands. I got lost somewhere on the way and don't know how to go back. Should I work with what I have or cut off the excess fabric? Leave it behind with the other scraps or patch it back to make a whole quilt? I stare down at my work. Of course, I didn't add a lot of up-down emotion, but I guess I'll ask chat. Fast or slow through this section? What do we like more? First person who says. If there's opinion. Otherwise, I will make a choice. But I like to let you all participate. I would rather you all participate. Confused young adult who regrets not learning properly in the first place, not a lost child. Yeah, it's the same principle. I just, I think the specific words, like, I got lost somewhere on the way and don't know how to go back, that really feels like a child. And in relation to the mother, the teacher, it can make us feel childish. Of course, it's also that they've taught you over time, and now you're on your own, and you don't have them so much available in your life, and now you have to figure it out yourself, which is hard, right? And that's maybe, like, one of the big, like, it's a big metaphor, right? Like, you taught me really well how to do things, I didn't always listen, you taught me how to live a life, you taught me how to live right, and now I'm, like, not doing it right, you know? When I read it aloud, the two questions at the front, I read slowly, then speed up as it gets more frantic. Yeah, and I definitely have these slow, the minus there. And this is a thing, generally, that I know from music. Whenever something happens 3 times, you cannot, by any means, like this is a rule, say the 3 agains the same way. It's not always a rule. But you have to do something if things are happening in 3s, right? Can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again? It's just like the same thing. It's kind of boring. But if I say, can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled, right? That's speeding up. Or, can I start again? Can you show me again? Attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands. So that would be slowing down. Either way is going to be better than keeping it at a flat rate. Now, I like speeding up here, in my opinion. You know you're lying to yourself, right? You keep dropping out of the work. Yeah. It's true. So then we'll be speeding up throughout. And then, for me, I stare down at my work is now like in action, right? It's like very present. I got lost. Should I do these things, leave it behind, or patch it back? It's all kind of hypothetical. And then you just say, I stare down at my work. And this is maybe a moment to use space I might go through and use different ones, because if I went through speed and then space and then volume, it would take forever. So if we put a stop here as we speed up, right? Space works great with speed. Speed gives a lot of momentum, and if you stop, there's like tension and then release. So, should I work with what I have, or cut off the excess fabric, leave it behind with the other scraps, or patch it back to make a whole quilt? I stare down at my work, at the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles, and knots. See, it brings us back to the present out of that franticness. So that's an option, and you can drop spaces anywhere, but they're like a cool tool you can use. The uneven lines, the holes, the tangles, the knots. Not knowing if the piece is damaged. Yeah, so there's like a knot, and in general, you want to bring out any cool little like auditory things, because it's tasty to the ears, right? At the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles, and knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair. Yeah, of course it was, yeah. I assume deliberate. I do that sometimes in my poems, like the direct homonym at the start of the next line. I think it's a very fun tool. Knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair, or if anyone else will want to wear. Again, like, wear and repair, those rhyme. Knowing our rhyme scheme is good, or noticing our rhymes. Want to wear it. I tried so hard. So in this section, God, since we're back to sort of the present and staring down at the work and this very like in the moment thing, maybe we go quieter, reflective, or patch it back to make the whole quilt. I stare down at my work, at the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles, and knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair, or if anyone else will ever want to wear it. I tried so hard. You know what? I may not have noticed that scheme. I did hear it in your voice that you liked that line about people wanting to wear it. Yeah. Because I think this as part of your metaphor, right? You're talking about clothes, of course, but like the things that I make, the things I do, the things you've taught me to do right, will anyone want me? You know? It's like very personal. And it's something that's plagued me a lot in my life, that self-consciousness. Will anyone ever want to wear it? Will anyone ever want to read my poetry? Will anyone ever want to listen to my music? I still don't know, right? I'm going to take a quick break, stand up, pace around, drink some water. Again, torturing my voice right now with all these different things. And I'll come back in a minute after the ad, which you will not watch. Promise me. Don't make promises. Promises are bad, but don't do it. Dizzy. You're back, Charming Devil. I don't know if you're getting the ad break, but hi. For the playlist, for the YouTube, the command is silly. It's exclamation point teapot, if you can hear me. That is because it's the poets of Twitch. But it's like sounds like teapot, so I do TEAPOT. But like, for funsies, for character. Anyway, welcome in anyone new. Welcome. I don't know if the ads are over. I give up. I'm back. I'm not. Holy hell, there's a link in the social stuff just below. Yeah. I need to like redo my link banners. They look kind of bad. But anyway. So we talked a little bit about adding spaces and volume. The about sections are great. I mean, I have better ones. Like I made a banner for the Discord that I just haven't scanned yet. I did the art and is this which I'll scan and like put in the bio or in the description so y'all can navigate easily. But I actually need to like go downstairs, figure out how to scan a thing on the printer, and then do that. So yeah. Back to this. Pitch. I don't know if this is a... When I'm going to hire you to do the cover art for my poem books in the future. Wow. I don't think that highly of my art, but I'm definitely... I do calligraphy sometimes on stream, so I'm not bad at script and artistic script. And if you want to give me money for things, I will make you beautiful art. I'll probably make you beautiful art without money. Because I don't like selling art. I took the word call Cali from oh, hi Caliber. I see, yeah. Speaking of art, Jin, can I post my OC? Yeah, do whatever you want. It's for a community. It's post your art. You used to do it too? That's awesome. You're another calligrapher poet. So many of us here. What else do we share? Are you trans? Are you also a musician? Or do you like philosophy? Anyway, these are all things that are my interests. So, tone. Maybe we can skip to this one. Let's see. Let's read the next section and see what we want to talk about in this one. Normally I would recommend like going through like the whole thing with all of them if you were really trying to dig in to tear apart your own poem and how to perform. Write lyrics sometimes. Anthropology student. So all about humans. That's really cool. That's sick. I tried to understand, mimic, and implement your teachings, learn from you, believe what you believed me capable of was true. I stared at your work for years, wondering how you possibly got so good. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now clothes don't fit me anymore. So, let's see. Does anyone have an idea for what we might want to do in this section? It could be from any of these tools, so speed up or slow down, or add some interesting spaces, play with volume, pitch, tone. What do y'all think? You guess this would be a tone shift? Yeah, for sure. Does this feel to you like more, I guess, like soft and intimate? There's an I give up. Yeah, the clothes don't fit me anymore. Like, I stared at you. You're better than me. I don't know how to do this. I don't believe in myself. All this stuff, right? So, in that case, tone, we could be softer. We could be a little more like sad or melancholy, opposed to the frantic. And that works because we're already kind of bringing the volume down through this one. And then we can really hit a low here, right? And then later there's the moment of discovery where I get to see behind the curtain, right? Oh, I love that moment in the poem. It's so cool. I tried to understand. Yeah, so this obviously connects. Like, the sections are arbitrary. I tried so hard. I tried to understand, mimic and implement your teachings, learn from you. Believe what you believed me capable of was true. I stared at your work for years, wondering how you possibly got so good. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now the clothes don't fit me anymore. And I like leaving a space here. A space can either add a lot of impact to the thing after it, sometimes even add impact to the thing before it. And I think the clothes don't fit me anymore is such a powerful line here in this section and in the whole poem that I would want to bring it out. It is also dead center in the middle of the poem. And, generally our really important points are like the beginning, the middle, and the end, when we have things to bring out, right? In our little kind of, I don't even know. So let's say we wanted to bring that out. We could add a pause. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now, look at the crowd. The clothes don't fit me anymore. Right? And I have had to try to stitch more together myself, and I don't know how. You have like very dense rhymes, and maybe we can use that to like pick back up some volume. I feel like, this sense of like I have to do it, more momentum, doing things, trying is going to lead to like more effort in the speech, right? So we could do volume, we could speed up throughout this, kind of all the things. And a lot of these things happen together. And I have had to try to stitch more together myself, and I don't know how. I didn't remember it all. I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else. I naturally put a space here. I don't know if we like that. If anyone doesn't, we'll remove it. And I don't know how. I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else. Because sometimes you want a section to push, right? But you don't want it to keep pushing and growing because it's not the theme of the section. And this all still feels very like sad. So using a pause to like cut that momentum, drop back down in this very like kind of sad, tragic line, caught up in everything else. I don't care about, not caring about your lessons growing out of it. I'd become too caught up in everything else, caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me. And again, so that's the 3, which tells us we have to, tells us we want to, probably. You never have to do anything. Tells me that I want to do something with these, and I want them to grow. Because we're going into, it's like a sad thing. Like caring less and less about the lessons. That's also kind of opposite of the words. The words say less, and we're going to do more. You can also do less. You can go caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me. Oh, maybe I like that more. Do I like that more? And I have had to try to stitch more together myself, and I don't know how I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else, caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me, so that my mind would be straight and true, unhindered by mistakes and worries, free of snapping threads or a broken needle. I am not perfect. Would you have me believe? And actually, I want more space here. I am not perfect. Would you have me believe that you are just as flawed? Because space is going to give this sentence more importance. Leaving air after I am not perfect gives it more importance in this very intimate section. I like that. Something we can do. Would you have me believe that you are just as flawed? Everything I have ever seen in you was undamaged, every stitch exactly as it should be. And this, I'm speeding up naturally. Some things just happen naturally that feels right, maybe. So then we would speed up, and yet now, and only now, you open the scrap drawer. Show me every piece you had ever done before until you got it right, giving me a glimpse at what it truly means to have something handmade. Yeah, idolizing the parent, and then realizing also that they are human. And then you hug me. Because you don't want a son printed in a factory. You did it yourself, no matter how flawed. It was made with love. By hand. By you, but not for you. You made me for me. With tender, loving care, and though I am tangled, I cherish every thread you have made a part of me. I know Jin loves the printed in the factory line. Yeah, it's so good. And I'll tell you why, because, you asked Darning Devil, why do you like that line? I think it's important, and I encourage you all, if you're giving feedback, if you like something, say why. Because just liking something, it's very validating to the author, right? But saying why. So I love the printed in a factory line because, I think oftentimes we're in this world that puts us through systems and puts us through school and society that wants us put in line, print us in a factory. And my parents also have done an amazing job to not have a son, now daughter, printed in a factory. They put effort in to have me and my siblings be able to be interested in the things we want to be interested in and love the things we do and be supported. And so I really relate to this one. Yeah. So those are some of the thoughts, a little bit of notation. You can come up with your own notation, pluses and minuses for me, faster, slower, louder, softer. But that definitely changes the way we read, right? I don't think I read exactly with all of these things at first. And even though I do have a sort of natural, automatic sense of how I would perform it, like, this has forced me to go through and find where I put emotional value in different parts of the poem. And then it's going to make my performance better. So, like, why not do this, right? Why not? And also, it is in doing this that these things become more natural to you. So, you also don't need to do it this deeply. It can just be reading something and noticing, I want to do it faster here, do it slower here. Nico gave me a good practice technique for spoken word. Read the whole thing very slow and flat, and then read it again, super over exaggerated. And that will show you which parts really shine, and particularly which parts don't shine using that type of tone. And that's a way to do it too. You can just do it through that practice, or you can go on the page and analyze it, right? High caliber. You've been bad. You deserve to be timed out. You're a bad girl or a bad boy. I don't know your pronouns. I need to figure out how to time you out though. What the? I found a sadist in my chat. Y'all, this is called chat participation. Timeout at, what is your name? High caliber. High caliber. What's the format for this? I need a duration. At high caliber. Do I just put like a number? Okay. That did it for 10 minutes. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that one. I learned that from someone else, the whole read it boring and over exaggerate. Of course you did. When you gave me that Wii U vocalization when you finished, did I do that? Well, I'm glad you know. So that's like, that's a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of different stuff. And timing out deletes messages too. Wow. But so these are the tools you have, and you have more tools. For performance, clothing, the things you wear. When I was a classical musician, it was all black, formal, maybe a colored tie. Or if you were a professor who was really good, only at that point can you wear a cool floral shirt, like Professor Luloff, my saxophone teacher. In this, maybe you would wear a piece of clothing made by your mother. That's cute. Then you could say that. Hands, eyes, face. We talked about that a little bit, but these are all things you can consider. You don't have to, but yeah. You know you did good when the poem is used as a teaching tool instead of doing critique and interpretation, because it's like, nope, don't do anything to it. I mean, there are things you can do, but also I felt that since this has a lot of I know that you write spoken word, and you do it very well, and you've published your work. I figure I can feel comfortable using yours to teach in the same way that I use Bukowski to teach. And yeah, if you wanted, critique, we could go back another time and do more of that sort of thing. Because there's always things to improve, and I say we should always be critiquing the things we read, right? But no, it's really good, and it very much like hit me in the feels. So all of that, right? So, but I think it's been an hour and a half. I'm gonna read this one last time, maybe two, because I really like it, admittedly. And that will be the conclusion of our analysis for it. Because it's always important to go back at the end and just enjoy the poem. You said it after the first one. I did a little vocalized. Ooh, like it's good. Because like I don't know, we read to enjoy poetry. The first thing, in my opinion, you should be doing when looking at a poem is not critiquing. Is not using it as a tool. It is enjoying the art. Once you have done that once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, so we have to abridge that a little bit on stream, then you go in and say, what do I think author Brian Lou can do better? What do I think I can do better? How does this help me? What do I learn from this, right? Is it old, bitter, late 1980s Bukowski next? Maybe, because I know you sent the video and it's fitting. I also might do this with one of my own poems, this exact process, and show you all, but that feels selfish. I'm going to read this by hand. It's all tangled. Every part of my mind tied up in knots that would take years to undo. I haven't been able to trace the loops back to the beginning. Where did it all go wrong? Where did the stitch become chaotic? I have lost the pattern. Can I start again? Can you show me again, attempt to teach me again, even though I've never been skilled with my hands? I got lost somewhere on the way and I don't know the way back. Should I work with what I have? Or cut off the excess fabric, leave it behind with the other scraps, or patch it back to make a whole quilt? I stare down at my work, at the uneven lines, the holes, the tangles and the knots, not knowing if the piece is damaged beyond repair, or if anyone will ever want to wear it. I tried so hard. I tried to understand, mimic, and implement your teachings, learn from you. Believe what you believed me capable of was true. I stared at your work for years, wondering how you possibly got so good. I wore what you had sewn for me proudly, yet now the clothes don't fit me anymore. And I've had to try to stitch more together myself. And I don't know how. I didn't remember it all. I'd become too caught up in everything else, caring less and less about the lessons you were trying to give me so that my mind would be straight and true, unhindered by mistakes and worries, free of snapping threads or a broken needle. I am not perfect. Would you have me believe that you are just as flawed? Since everything I have ever seen in you was undamaged, every stitch exactly as it should be, and yet now and only now you open the scrap drawer, show me every piece you have ever done before until you got it right, giving me a glimpse at what it truly means to have something handmade, and you hug me. Because you don't want a son printed in a factory. You did it yourself, and no matter how flawed, it was made with love. By hand, by you, but not for you, you made me. For me. With tender, loving care. And even though I am tangled, I cherish every thread you have made a part of me. By hand, by AuthorBrianLou. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to check out the rest of the series, follow if you enjoyed, and stop by Twitch if you want to share your own work. See you there.